Good evening. It is an honor to be here with my wife, Kim, and the occasion is an honor itself. FCA has meant so much in my life. It's given me an opportunity to grow and develop and become all of the things that I aspired to be. At 12 years old, my dad left home. He left my mom, and 6 months later, my brother Grady, who moved back home when my dad left, to help out financially, help my mom out with my sister and I. There were 10 of us, and I'm the last one, and my sister was next to me. And Grady was one of the older brothers that really took it upon himself to come back and really help my mom, who was really struggling to pay off our home. We came very close to losing it. My mom challenged me because at that time when my brother passed away, I had made a decision. And that decision, to me, when you're 12 years old, there are some things that you do, the process that you go through. I was trying to make sense of it all. I went to church a lot. My father was a pastor. But at that time, my faith, my belief, everything was shaken. And I made a decision at 12 years old, after coming back from my brother's funeral, that I was just going to be mediocre. There was nothing special about me. I wasn't the biggest guy. I wasn't the fastest guy. I wasn't the smartest guy. And I thought, if Mom did all that she could to try and make this marriage work, and after 10 years, or 10 kids, and over 30 years of marriage, and that didn't work out, when I saw how hard she was trying to make it work, and then my brother gets killed in an automobile accident 6 months later, I'm thinking something's wrong here. And I don't know if I can give everything that I have and come up short. I don't think I can make it through that. So I made up in my mind at 12 years old, I'm just gonna be mediocre. I'm not gonna try to be anything special. Not gonna try to be the best. I don't wanna be the worst either. But I certainly don't want to strive to be the best and not make it. And my mom walked in that day and she challenged me. She walked in and she said, "Son, I want you to sit down. I want to talk to you about this thing called life." And she said, I know you're looking at things and they don't look great. Your dad walked out, your brother died in an automobile accident. That's really, really tough to handle. But I want you to know there's greatness in you. There's something very special about you. But you will never see it if you quit. If you give up now, you will never see it, son. She said, I want you to understand what life is all about. Life is about getting in that ring, having the courage to get in the ring. And when you get punched in the gut, and you got to get up and you got to dust yourself off and you got to keep swinging, son. You just got to keep swinging, son. You just got to keep swinging, son, until you're the only one left. This is what life is all about. She said, now I want to ask you a question. I know this is a bit unfair. You're only 12 years old, but I want to know if you can be the man of the house. I said, well, Mom, this is a bad choice. I kind of made up my mind already. But when I looked in her eyes, I knew that she believed in me. When was the last time that you had someone look you in the eye and really believe in you? Well, that day I knew that she believed in me, and I walked in my room after saying, Mom, I can do that. I walked in my room, I got out a sheet of paper, and I began to write. And this is my vision statement at 12 years old. Find a way to get a scholarship to go to college. Get my degree, in which I'd be the first in my family to do so. Become an All-American. Get drafted and go to the NFL and buy my mom a house and take care of her for the rest of her life. Become an All-Pro. Go to the Super Bowl and own my own business. At 12 years old, that was my vision statement. I wrote it out and I put it on the wall. And I look back at that time, and those things sometimes in life I believe that there are things in you. There are things in all of us that's there. And sometimes we come up against this wall, or sometimes we come up against this crossroad, and we have to make a decision, and too often times we give it up. And I know that there are many of you here tonight that have given up your dream. You've given up the hope. You've given up your faith. You've given up what God has put in you. And you have made a decision just to go with the flow. Because life doesn't seem fair, and you don't know if you can give everything you've got and come up short. Well, thankfully, a few years later, I get one school come to my home. Coach Taft talked to my mom about me coming to Baylor. My mom liked Coach Taft. She knew that he was a believer. And I knew that if I didn't like Baylor, I had no chance. Because Mom had been sold by Coach Taft. I was going to Baylor. And then I went to Baylor for a visit. And I remember meeting him for the first time. I talked to a couple other coaches, and they were kind of, well, if you come here, you may get a chance to play in your second year. You're not the biggest guy. And I'm thinking, man, I don't know if I want to come here. And then I went in and I talked to Coach Taft. Coach Taft said, Mike, I want you to know something. I watched you on film and I turned it off after a few plays. There's something about you that I believe you belong here at Baylor. There's something special about you. I believe you're a leader. And I believe if you come here, great things will happen. As a matter of fact, I'm going to hold this scholarship for you until you call me and tell me not to. I really appreciated that. I went to one other school for a visit, and I couldn't wait to get back home to tell Coach Taft, I'm coming to Baylor. Now, when I got to Baylor, The neatest thing about getting a scholarship, I really didn't know what a scholarship was. I just knew that that's what you were supposed to want, and it was your way to college. That's all I knew. I didn't know that once I got to Baylor, I was going to eat 3 meals a day. I didn't know that I was going to have a pretty cool place to stay. I didn't know that there was going to be a place to wash your clothes. I didn't know that there was going to be a place where you could go and watch movies on campus. I didn't know a lot of things. I didn't know anything about any of those things. But I just remember that night talking to Coach Taft. And when I got to Baylor, for some reason, Coach Taft, when he was going to speak at different places, he would call me and ask me as a freshman, Michael, I'm getting ready to go, and I'm going to speak at this church. I'm going to come by and pick you up. Okay. And he did that several times. And I'm going and I'm sitting and I'm listening, and I'm thinking, wow, this is pretty cool. And Coach Taft would call me and say, hey, Mike, I want you to come by the house. I want to talk to you about something. And I went to his home, and I saw his beautiful wife, Donnell, and his daughters. And I saw how he moved about, how he was a father, how he was a husband. I'd never seen that. I'd never seen a man handle a home that way. I'd never seen a man respond to his wife that way. I'd never seen a man handle his family that way. Wow. And one day Coach Taft called me and said, Mike, I got a speaking engagement, but I can't go. And I need you to go. And I need you to speak. It's an FCA function. I'm scared to death. Coach, go where? I'll get you the information. I just need you to go. Okay. I go and I speak. It was something that, when I think back on it, it was his belief in me. It was his teaching me without sitting me down and talking to me about life, without sitting me down and telling me what to do and what I shouldn't do, without sitting me down and telling me how to be a husband, how to be a father, how to be he didn't tell me any of those things, but I watched him. I watched him how he handled the football team. I watched him how he handled his wife and his kids. I watched him how he handled discipline. I watched him. We didn't talk a lot about any of those things, but he never knew the influence that he had on me. Now, I look at a lot of the videos and leaders and things like that. You know, today in America, I don't know about our leaders. I'm a little concerned when we talk about leaders. Leaders today seem to me talk a lot. And leadership is not about talking. Leadership is about walking. And too often times as parents, too often times as men, as fathers, as coaches, too often times we're talking, but we're not walking. And our kids, man, if we could just walk, if they could just see it, if I can just see a leader, if I can just see a man, if I can just see a husband, if I can just see someone that is sold out, man, I will follow them. They will inspire me without saying a word. And that's what he did for me. Each and every day, I know that there is a part of him that will always be in me. Because when I needed a father, when I needed advice, when I needed something, without even talking to him about it, I saw it. That's what I need to do. That's the way I need to handle it. So when you begin to talk about FCA, FCA is all about mentorship. FCA is all about discipleship. FCA is all about walking. Walking. I want to tell you something now. At walk, it is so much easier to talk about what it means to be a Christ follower. It is so much easier to read a Bible. It is so much easier to listen to a video. It is so much easier. Man, when you get out there and you start walking, let me tell you something now. You know what I'm talking about. I'm looking in your eyes and I'm seeing, you know what I'm talking. It gets hot. It gets challenging. And you got to make decisions, and man, you want to make the right decision. You don't want to go the wrong way, and you know the right way, but man, if I go this way, if I go the right way, it's going to be tough. It's going to mean that I may have to walk away from my job. It may mean that I have to do something different. It may mean that I can't follow everybody else. Will I follow God? Or will I follow them? Will I follow God? Or will I follow them? In our country today, even in the church, the pastor has to answer that question. Will I follow God or will I follow him? And if it's hard for the pastor, what is it for you and me? And I believe that we're coming to a time I can see it at times, man. I sit back and I look and I listen to the news by accident. I don't listen to the news that much. As leaders, you've got to answer that question, and it may mean you lose your job. As a leader, you've got to answer that question. Want to be a leader? Start thinking about that. Start thinking about the cost. And ask yourself, am I really willing to be a leader? Now I want you to understand, it's fantastic being an FCA leader. It's fantastic being a leader on campus. But I believe one of the biggest mistakes that we have today is we've taken a lot of heat off of our leaders. And we're letting anybody say they're leaders. Being a leader if you're saying that you're a disciple of God, being a leader means that you're going to come under a lot of scrutiny. Being a leader means that you're going to get laughed at. Being a leader means they're going to point the finger at you. Being a leader means that they're going to call you all kinds of names. If you're a leader and everybody's patting you on the back and everybody loves you, something's wrong, especially today. And if you're not willing to stand alone, if you're not willing to walk alone, You will not make it as a leader. Not his leader. But I watched him. I saw him when he was hot. I saw him when he was under pressure for his job. He didn't change. And I didn't know you didn't eat the worm. Maybe this isn't what you wanted to hear tonight, but I just wanted to speak the truth. Leadership? Let me tell you something now. When you say that word, it's got to be him first. If he's not first, then you're not his leader. He's got to be first. If he is not first, and they are first, you're not going to make it. I want to end with this. I love FCA because FCA was instrumental in me being a believer. It's the first time that I ever saw that you could be a Christian and have fun. Neatest thing about FCA is they give you an opportunity to have fun. And you can run around and you can play and you can laugh and you can smile. You can do all those things. Man, it's fun. I didn't know that. I grew up Pentecostal. No makeup, no pants, no nothing. My sisters couldn't wear makeup. They needed makeup. I mean, come on now, a little bit. I'm going to close with this. It's been a journey. It's been a great one. And it's been a great one mostly because I met Coach Taft when I was very impressionable as a young man. And I needed some direction. But I needed somebody not to talk to me so much. And he was walking. He was walking. And he allowed me to see him in every situation. And I grew as a young man. And I took it with me. For all the leaders that are here, for all those that are leaders and aspire to be leaders, just remember one thing. He's got to be number one. If he's number one, you got a chance. If he's not, get out of the way. Thank you. God bless you.